on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradise. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, let's do this, surfers. Good morning from paradise. My name's Crypto Ramaru, joined as always by Nick, the Crypto Hitman, and it is Tuesday, March 17th. What a day to be alive. Gold bugs, are they rotating into Bitcoin? Seems like the price of gold is down the exact amount the price of Bitcoin is up. Very interesting to see. ETF buyers coming in strong. Iran war seems to be slowing down. Market's feeling good. I'm seeing a lot more bull posts on there on crypto Twitter. I'm seeing the trenches come alive a little bit with some low cap gem activity. Feeling good, feeling great. Happy to be here, guys. We got some good stories for you as well today. We'll get to a number of different topics, I'm sure. But before we do all that, how you doing today, Nick? What's a little gut check? Are you as fearful as you were 2 weeks ago, or are you feeling a little bit more bullish?
Well, this feels pretty good, and the moving averages and everything are acting just like we wanted them to act. We have one of our biggest holdings, PTGC, that had that massive rally. We're up 53% on that. Ain't consolidating up here since we gave you the call on that. Surf's up double digits off the low. Good to see. ProveX launched. Not that that affects us too much, but there's at least activity there. And now Bitcoin sitting on support here at $73,875 amidst Iran war still going on. The Fed likely not to cut rates today or tomorrow. And, you know, a lot of the macros are kind of getting pushed off once again. And yet Bitcoin and Ethereum price have been pretty strong.
Yeah, I was thinking more about this sort of surprising Bitcoin pump. You wouldn't think Bitcoin would necessarily pump in the face of this war. You'd think that money would be flowing into gold. But the thing about this war, I think, has brought into stark relief the fact that Bitcoin is simply a superior version of gold that happens to be valued 10x lower. If you are stuck in Dubai right now, if you are stuck even in Iran right now, if you are stuck anywhere in the Middle East, and you're trying to get your money out, well, certainly I've heard the banks have been clamping down on big money transfers out of Dubai. Good luck getting physical gold anywhere. It's impossible. Isn't it nice to have a fully decentralized, instantaneously transacted digital money that requires no intermediary whatsoever, which you can transfer across borders and even onto an airplane holding billions of dollars of said asset just by remembering the seed phrase in your head? Wouldn't it be great if there was something like that? Oh, wait, there is. It's called Bitcoin.
John McAfee talked about that all those years ago, talking about, hey, you can remember your bank account essentially in your head. Here is what we've been talking about, wanting to get in between the moving averages, consolidate and break out to the upside. This continues to round day by day. I keep saying it. We want to see this yellow go through the red and Bitcoin price continue to break out. Obviously, we saw a new high for the move yesterday. It is back testing to these previous highs, so this is a support zone. And really is down as low as 72,800 is all support here for Bitcoin. We'll see how things play out. You can still remain bullish as long as you hold the red line, but I don't want to backtrack here. I want to keep momentum. I want to keep FOMO. I want to keep continuation to the upside. We'll see how things play out with the Fed, I think, tomorrow, and also with the SAVE Act tomorrow as well, if I'm correct. So we'll see how all that plays out. Coinbase still holding gains, though. While Bitcoin is down today, Coinbase up another 1.5% to $206 a share. Good to see. Ethereum down 1%, but still $2,330, looking even sexier than the Bitcoin chart here. You can see same rounded action. Bounce and accumulation off of this white line and happily above the red 300 moving average. And this one looks even stronger than Bitcoin. That's interesting because we've been saying that Ethereum is poised to continue to outperform Bitcoin on the remainder of this cycle to the upside. That is what we need to see. Ethereum still no new all-time high for, 6 years now. It's time for it to break out of this 4, 5, 6-year consolidation zone between $1,500 to $4,800 and ready to explode to the upside. Finally getting its 5-figure destination of 10,000 and above, dare I say.
I can't wait for us Ethereum bulls to be validated and vindicated when we're sitting at $10,000 plus ETH. It's going to happen, guys. It's absolutely going to happen. It's highly undervalued. I believe the market cap of Ethereum is approximately $300 billion. Sounds like a lot until you compare it to the market cap of Microsoft, which is $3 trillion. So 10x to get just to the market cap of a single tech company, and not even a very good one at that. So, ETH has it 10x ahead of it. I think Bitcoin, this cycle, 2, maybe even 3x. 3x from here would bring us to like over that 210K mark. Doesn't quite get you your 244K. But when you look at the universe of investable assets, liquid assets, you just start to see how small and tiny our little baby cryptocurrency experiment is. It doesn't take a lot of capital rotating from the traditional markets into these assets to do your 10x on ETH and your 3-4x on Bitcoin. It's going to happen, folks.
The massive global capital rotation has officially begun. In the first 16 days of March, the legacy safe haven has completely collapsed. Gold is currently down exactly 17.8% across the entire market. Bitcoin violently absorbing the exact liquidity and is up 17.6%. The percentage return is about the same, but it isn't really the exact liquidity. 17.8% of gold liquidity is much more, would create much more of a move than 17.6% upside on Bitcoin. It is interesting that they are inverse at nearly the exact percentage, though. Heavy traditional capital is aggressively dumping the physical metal for digital standard. This is exactly what a permanent structural shift in global wealth looks like in real time. Are you actively front-running this massive migration or still holding legacy assets? So although I think this is a little over the top, a little extreme, this is what we have been looking for to happen. This is what history and the price of gold tells you. When gold finds major tops after parabolic runs and then goes on a 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, 1 year consolidation period, those are the windows in which Bitcoin catches a bid, catches volatility, and rips up to the upside.
I think there's a lot going on with this rotation. It's, of course, what you mentioned. Historically, gold goes on a big run, consolidates, capital rotates into Bitcoin. We know that to be true. But I think there's something even bigger happening sort of on a geopolitical level. China has really positioned itself as big-time gold bugs. If you look at who is buying a lot of the gold during that big run over the past, say, 6 months, it was largely sovereign wealth funds, nation states. China was leading the pack. Why were they doing that? Well, the same reason they were pushing the BRICS currency, or the alternative to the US dollar. They were dumping their treasuries and they were buying gold. Economic warfare, guys, it's real. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is being embraced by none other than the United States of America. And I don't know about you, Nick, but to me, the US is on a pretty major tear right now. We're doing pretty well, despite what all the low IQ idiots seem to be thinking about the Iran war, of having arguments with these people. They're suggesting the US is losing the war. I don't know what alternative universe you guys are living in with your alternative facts, but we ain't losing the war. And we also are back in Bitcoin in a big way. It started a few years ago, Donald Trump coming out. You were at that conference, right? Pushing Bitcoin. Now his family's fully into it. Now we got this strategic Bitcoin reserve, the Clarity Act. He's pushing that forward. They already got the Genius Stablecoin Bill Act passed last year. Every stablecoin's buying U.S. treasuries. We are going heavy in the direction of digital currencies, of Bitcoin. And so if you're betting on the U.S., you should bet on Bitcoin. If you want to bet on China, you can go ahead and buy some gold.
That's a really good way to put it, and that's what we've seen here in the short term. And what do you know? Historically, Bitcoin has averaged double-digit returns over 60-day periods during multiple geopolitical events since 2020. U.S.-Iran escalation in 2020, 20% gain, obviously outperforming gold and greatly outperforming the stocks. We got the COVID outbreak, 21%. Russia invasion, 15%. U.S. regional banking crisis. So this one makes the most sense as people are fleeing in fear of the banking system. Gold went up 11%. Bitcoin up 32%. Yen carry trade unwinding. Bitcoin only up 3. Gold did outperform at 9%. This was really kind of the start of the gold and precious metal run, was the unwinding of this trade unwinding back in August of 2024. Trump's Liberation Day, 24% for Bitcoin, only 8% for gold. And then the Iran conflict, stocks down, gold down, oil up, Bitcoin up. Oil still outperforming Bitcoin, but that is to be expected. Oil now back below $94 a barrel as Bitcoin back above $73 per Bitcoin.
Don't bet against Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. That's the lesson there. The interesting thing about this data, maybe it doesn't demonstrate it clearly by looking at this chart, there was a lot of selling leading into these events, whether structural, whether just chart-based, whatever, or because people were anticipating the bad news and it was like sell the rumor sort of thing. So you have to bear that in mind. Like going back to even the COVID outbreak in March 2020, we were trending down. I mean, the market had been looking ugly, and then it crashed even further. And Bitcoin crashed like 50% in a day to $3,000. I bought a lot that day. That was cool. So, you have to remember, and same thing happened here. Same thing happened with this Iran war, this crisis. We were down for 6 months leading into this.
Right. Very true.
So, at some point, we knew Bitcoin wasn't going to zero. At some point, it's going to rebound. And so whether it's all connected, whether it's because people started to realize, wait, Bitcoin is a superior version of gold. The Iran war proved it. I'm trying to get my money out of Dubai. I can't do it. I can't get these gold bricks out of here. The bank won't even let me send a transfer. Good thing I got Bitcoin. I don't need banks anymore. Maybe it was that. Maybe Bitcoin was just oversold. I don't know. But the point is, we weren't going to zero, which means we're going to 1 million.
We got Wang Freet in the house. That's a name I haven't seen before or haven't seen in a long while. Bang, bang, Pulse Gang. Love to see it. Love that the Pulse Chain community getting back active again. I know Pulse Chain is still way off its highs, and I know some assets, PTGC, Surf, whatever, are still off their highs, but holding in there and still have a bright future. So thanks for tuning in here. Moonmutt, good morning, everyone. Good to be here today. Lullaby 8, Miko Chapo, good morning, guys. And we got Cookie Dev back in the house. Good morning to all. What a good day today. Betting against BTC is like betting against math. And then Wyckoff Stock Market Institute. Smash the like, share, and subscribe buttons.
I made a tweet the other day. If you're selling Bitcoin now, I mean, my goodness, what an insane thing to do. We're finally breaking up. We're finally bullish again. Michael Saylor's buying way more than the miners can create and the sellers can sell. Just a single entity based on a single product, STRC. We've been down for 6 months leading into this. And you guys are still selling. There's still people out there selling their Bitcoin. What a crazy thing. What a crazy thing. And by the way, I'm not against selling assets. I'm just against selling them at the wrong time, and this feels like a bad time to be a seller. What do you think about that?
Here's the monthly returns here. Remember, we had 5 straight red months for Bitcoin, double-digit months in 3 of them, and we were wondering, was it going to be 5, and we start the multi-month uptrend, or would it break a record and be 6 here and tie us back in 2018 into 2019, which did lead us into one of the biggest bull markets in the history of Bitcoin here. Well, so far it's looking green for March halfway through. Do you think March closes green, or do you flip red and it's 6 months of red for Bitcoin before the uptrend can continue?
Well, the bears would love to see it. I'm still seeing a handful of posts. They're definitely in the minority now, at least in my timeline. People suggesting that this is a fake out, bull trap, 40K next, it's a magnet, whatever. I know the future because the future is going to be exactly the same as the past. What a ridiculous thing to think, first of all. But in any event, there's enough of those people out there that I'm sure would love to see 40K Bitcoin because they're out of the market. They're waiting for it. I don't think it gets there. Not with the ETF buyers, not with Michael Saylor. Not with the fact we're this undervalued relative to every other major asset class. Gold is a $35 trillion asset right now, guys. S&P 500 is at all-time highs. NASDAQ's at all-time highs. By the way, the value of all those assets liquid across all stocks is something like $250 trillion. We can't get a couple trillion to trickle into Bitcoin over the next 6 months. I mean, my goodness, that would just be pathetic. So no, I don't think we're going to end March in the red. Unless, look, if Powell comes out and just F's us tomorrow, maybe he just screws us over by being super hawkish in the presser. But I doubt that he will be. I mean, he'll probably be a little bit just basically neutral. I mean, they've been mostly neutral, and they haven't cut the rates. It's been very, let's just call, they haven't revealed their hand one way or another. Oh, we're data dependent. The dual mandates, we're about even on the dual mandate. Unemployment's looking a little shaky, but inflation, so we're just going to leave it as is. I don't know how many more cuts we're getting this year. But anyway, he's a lame duck because he's out in a month anyway, and they're bringing Kevin Warsh in May. So I don't know. Absent something crazy happening at the press conference, I don't see how we give up these gains in March. In fact, I think we keep grinding higher.
I think it's ready for some multiple green months in a row for Bitcoin. Obviously, that would lead Ethereum on a tear, and Ethereum would outperform in our estimation. Another light of that, here we go. For the first time since January, Ethereum spot ETFs have seen 5 straight days of positive inflows, 5 consecutive days of net positive inflows, ETH price stabilizing around $2,200. The last time we saw sustained ETF inflows like this, ETH ran from 2,500 to 4,000 plus. Not saying history repeats itself, but the setup looks familiar. Remember, we just talked about it yesterday. Thomas Lee from Bitminer is buying. Coinbase is buying. The only people selling is the foundation of Ethereum themselves. You have fucking morons. And here we go. We got positive ETH ETF inflows. And remember, BlackRock, it was all the rage, it was all the hype for BlackRock to launch an ETF that pays dividend yield based on staked Ethereum, and now nobody's talking about it. That just launched. Since that launched, well, guess what has happened? 5 straight days of positive ETF inflows, of which the new product is an ETF that is counted into this statistic here. So really good to see. This is why Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin here. This is why the chart is looking pretty nice and pretty juicy. And this is what you want to root for. If you're looking for gains outside of just Bitcoin or other large caps, you really need Ethereum to get going to spur an altcoin season, FOMO in retail, and get people chatting again, get people onboarding again, get people dollar cost averaging again. Because in these finite supply assets, DCA is king. That is what creates supply shock and price appreciation.
Just like anyone who's selling their Bitcoin now is a retard, so is someone selling Ethereum now. Look at what happened when gold got its ETF like 15, 20 years ago. It went on a 10-year bull market, guys. And it wasn't up only. Obviously, there are moments of consolidation and downtrends and so on. But a 10-year bull run for gold when it got an ETF. If the same thing happens for Ethereum, you even get a couple-year bull run. I mean, look, it's so undervalued compared to everything else. It's a $300 billion asset. 10x gets us to the market cap of Facebook, Meta. It underpins the entire Web3 ecosystem. There's something like, I don't know how many, 100 billion, 500 billion worth of stable coins on Ethereum. Tons of transactions every single day. The issuance of ETH, I should call the inflation rate of ETH, is something like 0.2% annually, less than Bitcoin's, which is like 1-something%. So the inflation is better, the usage is better, it can generate yield, the market cap is way lower. The world is finally waking up to Web3. The politicians are embracing it, the nation states are embracing it. I just don't see, and they have the ETFs, and this new ETF is extremely popular. Look, if this new ETF hadn't been popular and it was like, oh shit, no inflows. Be like, all right, maybe Wall Street doesn't like it, maybe traditional investors don't like it. Okay, maybe we got something bearish to talk about, something to worry about. But that's the opposite. The opposite happened. There's tons of money flowing into this ETFB, and it's going to continue to happen because it pays dividends every month. So to me, again, if you're selling now, finally at the reversal. Finally we reverse. Finally we see some green, and you're like, no, I'm out. You will regret that decision in 10 years from now, I promise you.
We got Dovakin in the chat saying greetings and salutation. We got Hexbull in the chat. As mentioned before, 65K was my updated bottom range. And we'll make new all-time highs later this year. Who's ready for alt season? Did you see Hex? OA staked all Hex on both chains. Yeah, that's why we mentioned Pulse Chain to begin with. We didn't mention the Hex thing, but there is activity going on with Pulse Chain, with Hex, with ProveX. Is it Richard Hart? Is it the dev? Is it whales on that chain? I don't know. But activity is picking up over there as Ethereum is bouncing off the lows. Good to see that the network still has hopium, that network still has upside potential, and the speculation is stirring as the largest hex holder, the HexOA, did stake all of this hex on both the Ethereum chain and the Pulse chain. Now, that does reduce the passive income yield even further, which is one of the reasons that people bought Hex, was for that yield. But what would be the bullish outlook on that for the Hexicans? Hexbull, Dovahkiin, I know you're big into Hex. What's the positive outlook of all that Hex being staked up other than, well, he can't sell that? Does it have something to do with T-share and T-share prices? Let me know. Martin Max King, Sailor is buying because he knows what is coming. That is very true. Dovahkiin saw an interesting take. AI versus Bitcoin. Both competing for the same thing, electricity. Which pays more per use of energy?
Yeah, I want to throw that up here. You raised a couple of points. I want to go back to the Hex discussion real quick. You know, a bet on Pulse Chain, if you think about it, is really just a bet on Ethereum. Plus Richard Hart doing the right thing. It's kind of a derivative play on Ethereum. We know it's a fork of Ethereum. It's faster, it's cheaper. But the biggest thing, of course, is the fact that Richard Hart himself has a bag of ETH worth something like, at least at the heights, was $700 million, something along those lines. Maybe a bit less now, obviously, with the big correction that's happened. But if you are betting on Ethereum, if you're bullish on Ethereum, as obviously we are, you expect price to go up. And then, of course, you're just expecting Richard Hart to do the right thing and start porting in some money. Pulse Chain could outperform massively at some point this bull cycle. I know we're counting on it. It's not the only chain we're bullish on. It's not the only assets we're investing in. I think it's good to be diversified. But it's one of those asymmetric bets that I'm glad I have some exposure to. And it's a cool community. It's a cool ecosystem, man. So excited for anyone who's bullish on Pulse Chain and Hex. I did see a guy stake $6 million into Hex. I think maybe that's what you're talking about. So that's pretty, there's a lot of conviction there. Conviction is Roan's middle name. He's DCing right now. Bullish on Surf, Mellow, Fuck 9 to 5, Rhino, Your Mom, etc. Yeah, man. Buying in on the lows, low cap alts. It's easy, very easy to do like 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x if you're just buying in at the exact low. Like I think you bought in the low on Mellow Man at like $60,000 market cap after everyone had capitulated. Everyone gave it. By the way, I held on to my entire bag. I'm still like a top holder of Mellow. I'm just crazy like that. But in any event, most people capitulated. Meanwhile, Rome bought in at the exact low and is up 2x, and the market cap's still like 120,000. What's going to happen when it's $1 million? There's your 10x or whatever, 12x. So good work, smart move. I hope you're going to make some money this phase of the bull run. I know it was struggle early on. I get that, but I'm glad you stuck with it. I think you're going to make it, man.
Dovahkiin does reiterate what I said about the Hex. Makes a huge supply shock, power of the T-share, and then Darius agrees with Dovahkiin that is what is going on there. So shout out to all the Hexicans who have been holding on tight. The price may be down, but it looks like the power of the T-share is there, and your yield is going to be growing now that this OA wallet has fully locked up all their Hex, saying, hey, we're not going to be selling this, and it's going to make those T-shares even harder to come by. So shout out to that. You know, another big player in the market who isn't so sure about market direction. I don't know what to make of this. OpenSea halts the C token launch. The platform pulls token launch just weeks before its March 30th debut, citing weak crypto market conditions, enabling refunds for seasons 3 through 6 participants.
Bunch of scammers. I was never big into NFTs myself. I'm not a collectible guy. I don't like collecting things in general. I'm looking around my office now. I'm like, I want to get rid of most of this shit I'm looking at. I don't even have that much. So anyway, I don't like collecting stuff. I never believed in them as, in terms of investable assets, they're going to go up. Just never made a ton of sense to me. But OpenSea made billions. Apparently made $2 billion. Their company. Like from 2021, whenever they launched until today. And yet, for whatever reason, have decided to cancel this launch. Despite the fact the market finally starting to turn up now. Despite the fact they clearly have a massive war chest, they could paint the chart. If they're just like, all right, we're going to launch this token, good token economics. And I don't know if that's the case, but fix the token economics, started a low cap, low float, low valuation. Just buy up the token. You could with $100 million, If you launched it like a 20 million FTV, 50 million, then they would never do this, but they should. They could create 100x for the investors if they wanted to. But instead, these assholes have pulled the plug. And by the way, this after they ran like how many 6 freaking like airdrop campaigns to hype it up, promising people all these tokens and stuff for doing all these tasks and shit. And now they're pulling the plug because the market's not good. Someone should sue these guys. This is insane.
Yeah, the way I see it too, it's like maybe they want to push the launch date, but it's like enabling refunds for season 3 through 6. I think they want people to do the refunds, then they're liable to do less of an airdrop, and they can make the token economics better. So I think this is all of a ploy for you to get 4 seasons of people to request that refund for their activities, and then when they launch, that's that many more tokens they don't have to give out to participants on that. Now, it's going to create some FUD. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. But it does save them a lot of money if they need to buy up all those airdrop sellers. We'll see how it all plays out. Obviously, we don't participate in these as far as buying when it launches. We avoided the Pengu buy. We took our airdrop. We sold the exact top. A lot of these things play out a lot of the same way, where you have this massive run-up, all the hype, all the news outlets talking about it, but then all the airdrop people and the insiders get their tokens and dump, and then it takes 2 or 3 months for it to find its footing, and then if it's a good project, that's where it will succeed. So it'll be interesting to see when this launches. I want it to happen because it does inject some capital and some liquidity into the markets, and all the NFT people would then get some liquidity if they sold this to maybe chase other assets. But I think this is just high-level playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers, trying to get 4 seasons of participants not to want to claim these C tokens, and then boom, they're going to hit you in Q2 with the launch of this, and they save that many tokens for their own personal wallets.
Yeah, maybe, probably, but it's the wrong thing to do. Look, Web3 has a trust issue. There's way too many scammers. There's way too many people that just say one thing and then do another. These guys aren't desperate for money. They don't need to do desperate things and screw the little guy over just to make a little bit more money for themselves or whatever. They've already made $2 billion. So, look, we've been founders of projects before. We're advisors to many projects. I am a big believer in once you have made promises that has induced people to do certain activities, that could be investing, could be, hey, these are the terms of the investment round. Okay, and then you go out and raise $100,000, $200, $500 million. You can't go and then change it later on. But the problem is too many founders do. Too many projects do. It's the same thing with the airdrop. Like if you effed up the airdrop because you were too generous or something went wrong with it, that's on you, bro. Don't hurt other people just because things change and you want to make a different decision. Too bad. That's your bed. You lay in it. You deal with the consequences. We need more trust back in the industry. And the only way we do that is people following through on their damn promises.
We got Darius and Dovahkiin going back and forth on AI. AI data centers generate up to 8x more revenue per megawatt than Bitcoin mining, prompting miners to shift towards AI. Feel free to verify it. Also, our AI agents model is extremely power efficient, 25 watts, basically a light bulb. Whenever it completes a task, it mints tokens. That is coming from Smart Sentinel, so I think they would know about AI. Yeah, this is very true. This is why some of the Bitcoin miners did catch a bid with the AI hype, because they have the functionality and the cheap electricity and the infrastructure to utilize other hardware to participate in the AI boom along with the Bitcoin mining, and whichever one is more profitable at any given time, they can spend a weekend, switch out hardware, and start taking advantage and monetize that. That is why we had the little run on Bitcoin miners. It was a little while ago now because Bitcoin is down as well, but this is part of the reason. You already have the data center, you have the infrastructure, you have the cheap electricity, you have the knowledge and the know-how. All you need to do is get different hardware, and you can fluctuate between AI production and Bitcoin mining production, whatever's more profitable for the business. And a lot of those Bitcoin miners are going to be big winners when Bitcoin turns around and AI continues to flourish due to that infrastructure they've created.
Yeah, for anyone who's mining Bitcoin, and I doubt we have any miners listening to the show, I'd say just hang in there. I mean, it's great you can diversify and do and kind of move in AI and generate some revenue that way. But it's sort of like for anyone who's been holding Bitcoin, price dumps for 6 months, you don't want to be the guy that capitulates at the low. Same thing with the miners. Hang in there. Market will turn around. Bitcoin price will turn around. It always does. It eventually hits all-time highs again. You will make a lot of profits if you can hang on and wait until that time. So, I'm happy you can diversify. but kind of hate to see when long-term miners go offline just because they couldn't hack the bear period.
And that is coming from Smart Sentinels, an AI platform we've been talking about. What is the recent update with the launch of Smart Sentinels and what they have going on there?
Yeah, so seed round will be opened up soon to pools, council members, and also Crypto Paradise DAO members. Very juicy terms on this seed round, a 2 million FDV. I believe you're getting something like 20% at the time of the TGE. So, very good token economics, good product. They're still building, they're still shipping code every day. I think these guys are actually coming on our stream later this week. So we'll be making an announcement about that. You can get to know them, get to know the team. But that one's coming. The one that's happening now, maybe you want to pull up the Noya Network tweet from Crypto Paradise. We just did a little tweet about those guys. Noya Network is a project that is launching on Pools, Launchpad, as well as some others. End of the month, they're actually doing their token launch. This is a cool, it's I think a unique product because it's not just another prediction market. It's almost a layer on top of prediction markets. It uses AI to help you use and generate yield from prediction markets. So kind of a, let's just call it a layer or network that sits on top of any other prediction market and helps you make money. I think it's a cool product. They already have a lot of traction, a lot of users, about 30,000 users. Product is live. They're building out new features all the time. It's launching, I believe, at a $14 million FDV. The private round, which is ongoing now, you can get in through the Pools Launchpad. You can get in at a 12 million FDV. So a little upside there. And then if the market continues to do well, I think their category is very much in the zeitgeist right now because prediction markets are hot. A little bit of hype, a little bit of a market cooperation, it could do very well. So if you're interested in learning more and participating, you can get in through the Pools Launchpad. Or you want to go backdoor it, you can backdoor through the Crypto Paradise DAO. Nothing wrong with that. You're muted, by the way.
I was going to say, good to see that projects are getting ready for launch, trying to raise some capital, and coming up with new innovative ideas and products that can provide value to token holders. Not just more point-and-click meme coins coming to the space, but actual real products, real utility, and real opportunity.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a comeback of some utility projects if they're in the right sector, if they've built a product that people want to use. I think the meme coin trenches just got farmed to death, and it almost became too professionalized to the point where if you're just an average Joe using normal tools, even if you have like a Telegram bot tool, whatever to trade, you can't compete against. There's professionals now who are grinding it out for years in the trenches on Pump Fund, 14 hours a day. Guys in their 20s with no other responsibilities, nothing else to do with their lives other than try to scam other people on Pump Fund. That's who you're competing against, and they have all the best tools. They got the cabals. You ain't winning that game, and so I think that game is kind of I don't know. I don't see that sector of the meme world making a big comeback. Maybe cult memes. We saw Pepe on a big run yesterday. I'm sure. You'll start to see, some of the Murad type plays doing well. I saw Fortcoin was up. So some of the cult memes where you can buy and hold, those I think will do well. But the super extracted, super PvP, pump fund trenches, I don't see retail getting back in there because how can you compete against those professionals just with all the best tools and the cabals?
Yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. I know that there's some platforms there that hope that isn't the case because that's how they make a lot of their funds, but we shall see. Ethereum sitting here at $2,329 as some of the other altcoins are down plus or minus 5%, most in the 1 to 2% range. As let's see what the stock market is doing here. Nasdaq still up 0.68%. S&P 500 is up 0.55%. So just a little cool down here for some of the altcoins as they did see double-digit gains off the low already. Let's see if we can continue to have some follow-through. BMNR back to $23.40. SBET at $8.25. These are ones that we talked about yesterday. They continue to be green. And then GameStop coming into its earnings at the end of March. Will that line up nicely with some of the macros we talked about? And will GameStop be the TradFi project that really gets the memes and vibes back for the crypto markets, as it is up 2% today off of yesterday's low to $23.75.
I'm holding my Ethereum here. I'm holding my Bitcoin here. I'm looking to deploy some capital into maybe a couple of new projects. We talked about
capital.
Nordex,
What's this
Smart
capital
Tunnel.
you speak of?
Well, yeah, I don't have much in the way of capital, to be fair. But honestly, look, the way we've structured some of these new projects, Smart Sentinel is a great example. I mean, the seed round is only $50,000 in total, which will be invested into that seed round. And so, between any VC that may want to come in, Crypto Paradise DAO members, Pools Council members, I'll maybe get a $500 allocation, but that's okay. That's all I can invest right now. But that $500 allocation easily turn into $5,000. Could even turn into $50,000 if it turns out the way, Dead Prez and Chain GPT and some of those others from earlier cycles turned out. So yeah, I mean, you don't have to invest a lot when you're talking about a small seed round. And it can provide good returns. And you don't risk, you're obviously not risking that much either, which is nice. So yeah, we'll be opening up that soon. I know some Pools Council members are looking for more information. Hopefully they start to watch the stream here as we talk about Smart Sentinels a lot, and we're going to have them on the stream. But we got some other good projects coming up too, man. So there's no shortage of builders out there. We just got to find the good ones, find the gems, get in early, and ride them up as this market continues to be bullish.
Just want to pull this up as we round up the show here. A little shorter of a show, but we kind of got through everything we need to get through here. Richard Hart, an hour ago, when everyone plans to buy the dip, and there's no dip. Talking about the ProveX token, you can see it had the traditional launch, got sniped, sold off almost back to zero, and now it's just been building. Even though PLS itself is slightly red today, ProveX continues to grind higher at a FDV now of $92.5 million.
Yeah, man, happy for the ProveX launch. Richard Hart needed a win, didn't he? And you know what? If you're in Pulse Chain, because I see some people rooting against it for whatever reason, but if you're in Pulse Chain, I don't care, even if you have a bag or don't, you want ProveX to do very well. If ProveX does extremely well, then this narrative that Richard Hart is a scammer, he's just extractive, he's going to steal all your money, blah, 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 and you see these crazy posts sometimes. That narrative starts to hold a lot less water if you have an asset that does 10x from the lows or whatever, 10x from the launch. It's like, wait, maybe this guy isn't a scammer. Maybe he's onto something. Maybe his ecosystem is pretty good. I'll check out, maybe I'll deploy some capital into PLS, PLSX, ProveX. Oh, maybe I'll check out some low cap gems like Surf or PTGC, right? So you want this to do well, even if you're not invested.
Yeah, I agree with you there. There's no real negative to it going up besides jealousy. Like, say this thing moons, you're like, oh, this is the one I don't own. Oh, my gosh. Well, it's a good thing it was built with benevolence to where it actually will benefit PLS and PLSX if it does very well. And again, it will help onboard new people to the network as people use this product. Everything on there is branded from colors to networks to optionality to get you to get some funds on Pulse Chain as well. So, I'm rooting for it. Love to see it. And Richard Hart is active again. That's the other thing. If this is green, it gives him something to brag about, but it affects people's morale. I mean, look at us. Look at anybody watching the show. When we have red candles, the internal vibes are way different than when you have green candles. So even if his other assets aren't mooning at any particular time, if one of them is doing very well, it's going to give him the energy and morale to then promote and work on the other ones. So this is all goes hand in hand, and that's why I think it is good to see green candles. Whenever there is green in the markets, Richard Hart comes back alive, both with his funds, with his energy, with his posts, and I'm sure behind the scenes with his devs. So root for green candles because it will power him to do green candles on everything else as well.
I'm rooting for green candles on Pulse Chain, on Solana, on ETH, on BNB. Hell, even on Cardano, which I don't like at all. I'm rooting for green candles all over the place because, like you said, it creates some positive morale. It creates momentum. It allows then those who made profits on asset over here to take some profits and deploy it over there. It's a win-win. It's how you get an alt season, guys. So we need green candles. We need the morale to come back. And ultimately, your bags will benefit from this. Even if in the here and now your bag is not pumping. Hopefully a few of them will. I'm sure that they will at some point. Not all of your bags are going to be big winners, but I'm sure some will. If you have 10 holdings, at least a few will moon in an alt season. So we should all be rooting for this. Root for everyone to win. I think that's one thing, like, bear market kind of brings into stark relief this notion that, man, this is a small industry. We're all in this shit. We're all in this together. We need to stop competing against one another, trying to build and let's try to build each other up and help each other out. So that's what we're all about here at Crypto Paradise. Trying to stay positive, but we're rooting for these green candles, guys. You should too.
I'm trying to look at the Polymarket odds for the Fed rates, and everything else is working besides Fed rates. So maybe something crazy is going on, and Polymarket's having to shut down the betting markets because it's going from less than 1% chance to 99% chance of a cut here tomorrow.
Yeah,
we'll
right.
see. I don't know. I was trying to pull it up just to see where we stand on the other future months. Won't load here on Polymarket. So maybe you guys need to check out any markets, and maybe that one will load for you.
Yeah. There was a really odd bet happening on Polymarket. I thought it was odd. Not to bring it back to geopolitics, but apparently there's like some big money going behind the bet that Netanyahu, who's the prime minister of Israel, is going to be out by, end of March or something like that. I don't know if they're thinking he's going to somehow get assassinated or a bomb will drop and he'll get taken out by Iran, which seems highly unlikely. There's videos of him walking around like getting coffees in Israel, just like chatting it up with regular folks just in the coffee shop. He's not going to be ousted by like his own party or politicians or the government, and I don't think he's going to be killed. But I saw a lot of bets going into this. A little strange, I thought, but maybe you can pull up some more information on that. The thing, Polymarket's interesting, man. Like, I frankly would stay away from most of these political bets. Unless you somehow have insider information, something is going to happen. Which, of course, almost nobody has that insider information. But how the hell are you going to know? Or there's guys putting in big money. 50 grand, 100 grand on Netanyahu out. And I'm like, dude,
how do you spell that? How do you spell his last name?
Netanyahu. Netanyahu. Anyway. How are you gonna be? It's like we talked about yesterday on the weather stuff. I mean, at least with the weather, you can look at the forecast. You can be like, okay, I think weatherman's probably right on this. I'll take a bet which way or the other. I guess are these the same people, the same delusional people that are arguing with me on X, claiming that Iran is winning the war? It's these same people. Iran's winning. They're just this close to turning it around, guys.
Yeah, this is the one I've seen here. There is like 34 million in volume. There's a 4% chance of being out by the end of March, 17% chance of him being out by June, and a 44% chance of him being out by December 31st by the end of the year. We'll see how this goes, but there is a lot of money here and a lot of volume. 34 million in volume betting on yes or no Netanyahu will be out in Israel. Interesting.
For those who don't know Israeli politics, I mean, this guy's like a cockroach. He never dies. He was like prime minister like 10 years ago, and then he was out for a few years, and then he's been back for like 8 years. They don't have term limits, guys. It's not like the U.S. Like, oh, yeah, he'll definitely be out by, because we know that Trump's going to be out because they got the term limit. No, there's no term limits. And guess what? As far as I can tell, Israelis are actually happy with the war and taking the fight to Iran. Israelis are happy about it based on the reading that I've seen. So, politically he's safe. And then then I guess the question is he somehow going to be taken out by like a bomb in Iran? They can't barely take out just a random building that's been evacuated and people are hiding in a shelter. Like 1 out of 100 missiles has hit Israel. You're telling me that they're going to somehow target and get Netanyahu, who has all the security and all the intelligence and so on? It just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, I'm not a betting man. in that sense. I'm a betting man in other ways. But unless you got, unless you got some sort of insider information, it seems foolish to bet. There's guys betting big money on crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's part of, we talked about that too. Part of the reason why I think crypto is where it is, leverage trading, people getting liquidated, sports betting becoming more and more legal. So people get that instant gratification. They either win or they lose within 3 hours. You bet on a football game, in 3 hours, you either made money or you lost money. And a lot of time, over time, people lose money. And the same thing applies for that leverage trading that we were talking about. When you lose in the leverage, who's winning? The centralized exchange is collecting fees, and they are paying overhead costs, and they are paying salaries. And the more people that do that, the more people they hire, the more salaries they pay, and that money gets extracted from the market to pay real-life bills and goes into the fiat economy, not into the crypto economy. So I think we're just in a point where the retail is limited here. There's not much FOMO around crypto, and that money, that liquidity has flowed into collectibles like Pokemon and Sports Card. That liquidity's flowed into sports betting, into poly market betting, into more instant gratification plays rather than buy and hold crypto, believe in the future, and watch prices 5x, 10x, 100x due to the scarcity of these assets while everybody has diamond hands. We have not seen that mantra. When's the last time we heard the term hodl? Diamond hands, balls of steel. It's been a very, very long time as everybody wants this instant gratification. Even in this last bull market, where did the most of the money flow? Pump fun, pump tires, instant gratification plays. Not believing in the future, not changing the future, not buying and holding. Staking wasn't all that popular because that is buying and holding. So we need to see if, first of all, that culture can change. And then number two, can we at least get hype back into crypto to get the retail normies to stop sports betting away their funds and start putting it into crypto investments and crypto trading?
I think once we get sustained green candles in the trenches, people will come back. Now, hopefully it doesn't repeat exactly how it was last time. Super extractive PvP, just buy a random meme on Pump Fun and hope it does well in 5 minutes and then sell. Hopefully it doesn't just morph into more, leverage trading on Hyperliquid, etc. What I loved about last cycles, and I still love this, it's finding undervalued gems that are building something useful. You buy in when it's low, whether in a pre-sale or maybe the token's first launch, it's a new project. You know what they're building. You believe it's going to take off. You believe it's going to get traction. You believe it's going to generate utility for the token, buybacks, etc. And you ride it up, man. And you ride it up and you bet on it. You bet on the team. You support it. I miss those days. Let's try to bring it back. I guess that's what we're trying to do here at Pools and Crypto Paradise. You know what I mean? Helping you guys find good projects that are just starting out, like a Smart Sentinels, for example. Building useful products. Already have traction. Buying in at super low market cap and riding it up as it gets momentum and as the product gets more adoption. That to me is what crypto should be about. It's kind of, it's basically like investing in an early stage tech company. You're basically like a venture capitalist. Sadly, a lot of the markets moved away from that mindset and they just want quick 10% gain or loss, in a 5-minute period, which I'm not about that life.
I think we kind of covered everything we wanted to cover today. Ethereum chart, Bitcoin chart, gold and oil prices. We went over some news articles and why we see bullish momentum. For the bulls out there, we want Bitcoin to hold the 300 moving average, which would be just above 74,000. And the same applies for Ethereum, although it would be quite of a dip from here as Ethereum price is looking very strong. You want Ethereum to hold somewhere around $2,125 to keep the uptrend alive. Let's see if Richard Hart's activity can pump Pulse Chain, because right now PLS, all the blue chips are down about 4% in the last 24 hours, which is not what we want to see, as it looks like people are rotating from the Pulse Chain blue chips and rotating into ProveX, as Richard Hart is bull posting about that. Stop rotating between the cores and bring in fresh capital to chase these assets. When one goes up, they all go up. Stop doing your rotation play even within the trenches of Pulse Chain. Extract capital from a different network and bring it there. That's how that chain wins. Shout out to BNB Chain for still remaining relevant after cycle. CZ is asleep, but he is not dead when it comes to the hype around BNB Chain. And I think Smart Sentinels will be a big value add there as well.
Oh, CZ's cooking. He may have been quiet recently. He's probably hasn't launched any products recently. Aster was his last big thing. It's still, I think, doing pretty well. He's cooking, man. There's no way he's just sitting idly by, not doing anything. So I'm sure he'll be dropping some dropping some bombs, so to speak, product-wise or marketing-wise here as the market gets a little bit better. But, yeah, man, I'm just happy to see some green candles. I know today's a little bit, we're in a little bit of a correction off yesterday's kind of like massive pump. But that's fine. You need the market to take a breather or two. I think we are, over the next few weeks and months, we are heading up much more likely than we're heading down. So stay bullish, stay positive out there, guys. We'll wrap this stream up for today. I got to get to my daughter. She's still sick. But until next time, guys, we'll see you on the beach.